What's good? It's your boy Fanon. I'm going to talk about Anthony Joshua, of course, continuing to try to duck Deontay Wilder and set up a fight with Dillian Whyte. Before I go into that, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you can participate in the live streams. We're going to have live stream discussion on this later today for sure. And the best way to get notified of it is if you hit the subscribe and the bell icon, and that way you can participate in it, because I don't schedule the live streams out at a specific time. And the best way to catch it is to have to hit the bell icon and be notified. Now that said, I did a video and you can still check it up. It's out this weekend. Where I was pretty, I got a lot of heat from some UK people telling me that I was making stuff up and about the fact that Anthony Joshua wants to fight Dillian Whyte, and he wants to fight Dillian Whyte and not fight, and that Deontay Wilder is not on his plans. And that was based on some interviews that I played that took place back in in June of last year, about 5 days after Anthony Joshua beat Vladimir Klitschko, where Eddie Hearn laid out a 8-fight plan that he had an 8-fighter plan for Anthony Joshua, and that pretty much laid out his next 4 years. And he did not, and this was, like I said, this was in June of last year, that he said he did not that the number one fight that Anthony Joshua really wanted to make was a rematch with Dillian Whyte, but that Eddie Hearn wanted to see Dillian Whyte fight Deontay Wilder for the WBC belt, so that Dillian Whyte would have a championship belt when he rematched Anthony Joshua. Now, what the responses that I got to that was that, that interview was so old. It was so, plans change. And my response to that is, man, it's 10 months ago, man. That is not that long. Anthony Joshua's fought one time since then. He's one fight into a plan. And Eddie Hearn talks out of both sides of his neck. But he's very consistent in one thing. They're not interested in Anthony Joshua fighting Deontay Wilder unless somebody absolutely, unless all the sanctioned bodies order the fight. Other than that, Eddie Hearn doesn't want to have that fight. And honestly, the more with that kind of cowardice type of conversation that Anthony Joshua had about not wanting Deontay Wilder in the ring, I'm not believing that Anthony Joshua wants that fight either, especially if you believe what Eddie Hearn is saying now. So today, or actually last night out of the UK, and you can get this on Sky Sports. You can also get it on boxingnewsandviews.com. An interview with Eddie Hearn took place in the setup for the Dillian Whyte Lucas Brown fight. It's entitled "Whyte versus Brown. Anthony Joshua wants another brutal battle with Dillian Whyte," says Eddie Hearn. And just for you people that act like, think that this is something, old, it came out in England or Great Britain. It came out on March 16th, 2018. Thank you very much. Oh, man. Anthony Joshua would welcome another Dillian Whyte tear-up if his British heavyweight rival can defeat Lucas Brown, says promoter Eddie Hearn. Whyte can stay on course for a world title fight with a victory over Brown at the O2 this Saturday night, live on Sky Sports, and promoter Eddie Hearn firmly believes he will feature in the future plans for Joshua. Forgive me if I'm slow on the reading. There's a lot of different stuff in between the sections I have to read, so I got to adjust my eyes sometimes. Tempers boiled over inside the ring as Joshua overcame an early scare to stop Whyte in December of 2015, and the current WBA Super IBF champion would be interested in a rematch with the Body Snatcher. I know that Joshua will fight Dillian Whyte again. Hearn exclusively told Sky Sports. I think if you ask him and said, tell me one fight in the division you want, you could say Dillian Whyte because he could say Dillian Whyte because he loved it. And he feels as though he wasn't his best because he lost because he lost his gag a little bit. But he's improved so much and he loves having a tear up, and he knows Dillian will give him a tear up. He loves the build up. He wants people to go at him at the pressers. AJ, but they seem to lose their bark a little bit when they're in front of him. Whyte is the WBC's #1 ranked contender, putting himself in touching distance of a shot at the WBC champion Deontay Wilder. But defeat would see Brown snatch his lofty position with the governing body. Man, reading this British English is really interesting. It's a really big fight for the division, and the winner, Wilder and AJ, are looking at this fight and saying, the winner is 1,000,000% on my radar, said Hearn. All AJ talks about is fighting Dillian Whyte again, because he seems to really want to do that. But of course, Lucas Brown is the world champion who was undefeated. So if he beats Dillian, all of a sudden he's a major player. This, for me, is the most important fight and the best outside of the championship fights. The winner is going to be the #1 in the WBC because Dillian already is. He's going to be a top 5 in every governing body, and you're there. Joshua is less than a fortnight away from unification bout against against Joseph Parker on March 31st, live on Sky Sports box office. And Wilder will be ringside to stock up interest in a potential fight with the winner. But Whyte could still be in contention for a shot at Wilder this summer. I would like him to fight Wilder still, Hearn added. I think that if Joshua, didn't fight Wilder next, and we had our August fight, we could do Dillian against Wilder. Everybody wants to see AJ versus Wilder. It's difficult, but I would like to see Dillian get a shot at the world title before he fights AJ. Now, that, my friend, was not 10 months ago. That was the day before yesterday. In a press conference leading up to the fight against Lucas Brown and Dillian Whyte, Eddie Hearn, who is Dillian Whyte's promoter, telling you what the plan is. The plan is and continues to be for Dillian Whyte to fight Deontay Wilder. And if, like Eddie Hearn said, if they can't get the Wilder fight done with AJ, then he wants Wilder to fight Dillian Whyte. He wants, if they can't, because it's difficult. You know, it's difficult to make this fight with Deontay Wilder. You know, but hey, man, I would like this, what he said. I would like for him to fight Wilder still. I think that if we didn't get Wilder next, Joshua didn't get Wilder next, and we had our August fight, we would do Dillian against Wilder. Paragraph before. I mean, come on, man. Next paragraph. Everybody wants to see AJ versus Wilder. It's difficult. But I would like to see Dillian get a shot at the world title before he fights AJ. What's the difference between that and what he said last August? And then repeatedly through the article, he said, what fight does Anthony Joshua want? Tell me one fight in the division you want. He could say Dillian because he loved it. He feels as though he wasn't at his best because he lost his gag a little bit. I don't know if that means he got mad, whatever. I'm telling you, sometimes it's hard to read it because, you know, I speak English, but different nomenclature over there in the UK, right? But this is some bunk. He loves the buildup. He wants people to get at him at the pressers, AJ, but they seem to lose their bark a little bit when they're in front of him. Deontay Wilder ain't going to lose his bark at all if he gets in front of him. But too bad, because Anthony Joshua won't let him in the ring. Look, if you UK fans think this is okay? Man, I don't know. Seriously, you really need to reevaluate it. What's difficult about an Anthony Joshua Deontay Wilder fight? What's difficult about it? Sit down with Shelly Finkel and Eddie Hearn, produce some profit and loss statements so they can figure out how much money each person makes and begin the negotiation for it. Shelly Finkel is on record saying that he hasn't heard from Eddie Hearn since November. After he talked to Barry Hearn, Shelly Finkel being Deontay Wilder's manager, hadn't heard from him since November. The last word that took place directly between Deontay Wilder's team and Anthony Joshua's team was, "I'll get back to you with the profit and loss statements." And that was Eddie Hearn said that. And they never heard back. And still, Eddie, you hear all this. Of course, Deontay Wilder said, 50-50, 60-40, I'll take this. All that stuff's in the media. Get it on a piece of paper. For the people that keep saying, oh, well, sign the contract. There's no contract to sign, man. And I'm going to tell you, there is no contract coming. Because the plan that was laid out by Eddie Hearn in his interview 5 days after the fight between between Anthony Joshua and Vladimir Klitschko is basically the same plan. They have an 8-fight plan for Anthony Joshua, and included in it is a rematch with Dillian Whyte, who would be the holder of the WBC belt, because Dillian Whyte is who he wants to fight Anthony Joshua. Is right. Dillian Whyte is who Eddie Hearn wants to fight Anthony Joshua, and Anthony Joshua wants to fight Dillian Whyte. Why? What kind of dude is that, man? Just be real about it. Come on, Anthony Joshua supporters, be real about it. What is that? You got a dude who's 20-0, right, with 20 knockouts in Anthony Joshua. He holds 2 belts, might hold 3 if he gets past Joseph Parker, which isn't guaranteed. And then you have the other guy who's 40-0 with 39 knockouts. The WBC champion who's calling you out all over the place. Eddie Hearn even has to fess up in this article that everybody wants to see it. Isn't that what he said? I'm pretty sure. Let me go back here. This is the words this is a word of Eddie Hearn. This is not me. Everybody wants to see AJ versus Wilder. Let me repeat this. Out of Eddie Hearn's mouth, everybody, and this is in the UK, everybody wants to see AJ versus Wilder. It's difficult, but I would like to see Dillian get a shot at the world title before he fights AJ. Who's the he in that situation? Is it Dillian the he? Or is it Deontay Wilder that's the he? Because I don't care what happens between Dillian Whyte and Deontay Wilder. If he took the fight, I still don't believe he's going to get that match. I still don't believe they'll do it. I just think he wants to get the fight and see if it can happen. But what happens if Dillian Whyte fights Deontay Wilder and Deontay Wilder lays him out, which he more than likely will do? Then what? Then we guarantee to fight with Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder? I don't believe it. I don't believe it because he's got the 8-fight plan and it keeps going. And they don't want to hype the fight. Isn't that what Anthony Joshua said? He doesn't want to hype the fight. That's why he doesn't want Deontay Wilder in the ring. See, that's why Sky Sports got to put pressure on these dudes. It's clear that people in the UK, despite what you guys are saying, despite what some of you guys are saying, it's clear that people in the UK want to see the fight. So how long are they going to let that float? How long are you going to let it float? What kind of dude does that, man? Just on the real, what kind of champion is that? I mean, let me try to do a comparison with another fighter. Keith Thurman. And ain't nobody taking that from Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman's got a dude in the same situation. Keith Thurman holds 2 championship belts, except for he's not injured. And everybody in the that's interested in the welterweight division wants to see Keith Thurman fight Errol Spence Jr. And he's looking like a bigger punk every day, every time he opens his mouth. The dude has lost so much traction with fans in the U.S. I'm serious. It'll be very, very interesting to see what Keith Thurman's numbers are whenever he decides that he's going to fight again. My understanding is he's supposed to fight in May. But, man, this is ridiculous, man. It's absolutely ridiculous for them actively to be pushing. It's like they don't care what fans think. They don't care. And Eddie Hearn being one, trying to protect Anthony Joshua and trying to protect his profit and loss and try to milk this thing as far as he can milk it, that's understandable because that's his job. Maybe he doesn't believe, he knows that Anthony Joshua might be getting knocked out, man. Might get beat up, might get knocked out. And they've made every excuse in the world. Nobody knows Anthony. What was that? How did it change from this? This statement right here. Eddie Hearn says, everybody wants to see AJ versus Wilder. Okay, what was it 4 months ago? 4 months ago wasn't somebody walking around the streets in California asking people if they knew who Deontay Wilder was and they said no? Wasn't that Eddie Hearn's line, witness protection line 4 months ago? Nobody knows Deontay Wilder. Do you think people are going to know Deontay Wilder in the UK after he calls this fight with Anthony Joshua? The Anthony Joshua, Joseph Parker fight? I would bet you Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua don't even want him to call a fight. Look, Sky Sports. I know that this is the biggest fight that can be made in the heavyweight division. Matter of fact, Sky Sports, the one who pays the bills, I know that this is the biggest fight in boxing, period. It's bigger than Canelo Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin. It's bigger than Errol Spence versus Keith Thurman. It's probably the biggest heavyweight. It's probably the biggest heavyweight fight of this century. But hey, man, you can't have it because, Anthony Joshua really wants Dillian Whyte. He liked that scruff up. Isn't that what they say? The scruff up? Because he didn't like it because he lost his gag a little bit. I mean, is Sky Sports going to take that, man? What's going on with y'all? He lost his rag a little bit, I'm sorry. If you really asked him what fight he wants, that's all he talks about. That's all Anthony Joshua talks about is Dillian Whyte, Dillian Whyte, Dillian Whyte. Because Dillian Whyte, he likes it when people talk to him in the pressers. He don't like when people talk to him in the ring, though, right? He don't like when people talk to him to get a fight. But when it's some dude that you already knocked out, some dude come on, man, that's Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte ain't no world beater. Dillian Whyte is not some world beater, man. But hey, man, that's what Anthony Joshua wants. And what Ass Juice gets, I told you, I swear I'm gonna keep this promise and call him that one time every video I make. Because that's ridiculous, man. I want to be a fan of Anthony Joshua, but you got to stop the ducking. You got to stop hiding behind. What's there, 15 excuses? Let me try to walk down the number of excuses that these guys have for not making this fight. Nobody knows Deontay Wilder. He's a bum. He's never fought anybody. He throws windmill punches. He can only sell out, the largest place he can sell out is the Barclays Center in New York. He's never unified before. I don't like how he's too aggressive. He talks too mean to me. That one is probably the most real one. I don't like him. He's scary. Is that what Anthony Joshua tells Eddie Hearn? I want Dillian. Dillian is more respectful, and quite honestly, I think Deontay Wilder, she's a little too scary. He's all aggressive and mean and yelling loud in my face, and I don't want to see that. Come on. Let me fight Dillian Whyte. I've already knocked him out, so it doesn't matter what he says. Dude, come on, man. Come on. Make the fight, man, and let's not have to wait around till 2020 for it. Just make the fight, man. Anthony Joshua's got enough ability to beat Deontay Wilder if he's got enough courage to step in the ring. But the first thing is you got to have enough courage to step in the ring. And the fans of this dude has to call for it, man. These 90,000 people that are showing up in the stands, you need to stay home if he fights Dillian Whyte, man. You need to stay home. God dog, man. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Dillian Whyte. But, you know, in conclusion, the reason I made this video again was because I done one earlier where I said that was the plan, that the person that Anthony Joshua really wants was Dillian Whyte, and that Eddie Hearn wanted Dillian Whyte to fight Deontay Wilder. And maybe he'll get a shot at Anthony Joshua. And that's what it is. And with that, I'm out. Peace.